Here we are back in the murky, gloomy stuff, right? Hey, fortunately, looks like largely today, maybe a little bit Friday, but it could be okay. Should be okay for baseball tomorrow.
Feels a little soupy in here right now.
Just a little bit. Was that because Bucky and Aaron were in here? Is that why?
I don't know. It just feels just a little, soupy.
That's a good way to describe it. Welcome to the Soupy Tuesday morning here on Light the Tower on the Horn, 104.9, 101.9 AM 1260. We're live, local, and digital on the Horn app and at hornfm.com. My name is Craig Way. Glad to have you with us. That other voice, of course, my co-host who got his pipes warmed up when he was on with B&E just a little while ago. He's the pride of Northwest Williamson County and a proud graduate of Florence High School. You know him best for his outstanding work at Horns 24/7, Jeff Howe. Yeah, you popped in here to pop on with those guys.
Yep, talking about the Caden Shedrick official visit. We'll talk about that more throughout the show. By the way, I don't know why I brain farted, but I had to look it up real quick. Caden Shedrick, 2 seasons of eligibility left. I get so confused with guys who redshirted and then they've got the COVID year and everything else. But yes, 2 seasons left.
Got to do that math. I've seen some rosters. In fact, this applied to Baylor's baseball roster last weekend, where they had an asterisk, and then they have that little T logo thing for a second notification, and it was talking about, or it was denoting guys who had redshirted, guys who had a COVID year. It was just making sure it was all spelled out really, really well for people, so they know that. The guy who only sounded like he had COVID yesterday is our producer, Cameron Parker. How you feeling today, by the way?
A little bit better. Surprised I didn't make it worse after filing my taxes yesterday and seeing how much I owed. We're getting there.
Isn't that lovely?
Oh, yeah.
Have that deal. Today is the deadline, by the way. Yeah, they pushed it forward since the 15th, popped over the weekend. So you do have till midnight tonight to get it in.
How'd the tax man treat you this year, Craig?
Not well.
Take a significant bite out of your backside.
Yeah, it was chewing on me.
I came real close to owing Uncle Sam money for the first time in a long time, but I think our return was after the filing fee and everything for the service we used. I think we got back $46.
There you go.
So hey, it ain't in the negative. So
Lunch
I'm
on
happy.
you.
Yeah.
Do you know? I started saying,
Try
do you
not
know
to
what
spend all that in one place?
Do you know what I would pay to have a $46 refund these days? That gosh. And then of course our deal was a little more complex.
Thank God for dependents.
Right. Yeah. Well, I got one left, and he's and our deal was made a little more complicated this year because Linda and I got married last summer.
Yeah.
But because it happened beyond the halfway mark, it was easier and stuff with her self-employment in mind to just do it separately this year, and then we'll kind of go in.
Yeah. See, of the three of us, Cameron's got the easiest path here to get to today.
That's true.
You just got to worry about one person.
You're taking care of yourself.
But about 10 different 1099s to
That's
sort
true.
through.
That's true.
Well, that's true. That is. I asked my oldest son, who, largely it mainly had. I think he has one 1099, but it's mainly just his W-2. And I sent the family text on everybody okay on your tax. Everybody done and all the precincts reporting in. Of course, the one up in college didn't make near enough to even remotely consider filing. It was just a little bit of favor run here and there, and there was very little of that.
Yeah.
So the oldest one was like, oh, yeah, I did that back in January. Got my refund and everything. I was like, shut up. Hear that? But
is Andy like Ned Flanders? Just sends that thing in on January 1, has it ready to go?
That's his only trait like Ned Flanders, but it is that. He does have.
Hey, speaking of, portal and COVID years and eligibility, how many years of eligibility Jason Way have left? Is his eligibility clock almost expired?
He is. He's rolling up on that COVID eligibility year.
There you go.
That hardship athletic injury year. He's approaching Kevin Wattler and Justin McLemore. Jordan Shipley.
Bo Scaife.
Bo Scaife. Not quite DJ Petrinsky. You realize that guy was in college for 7 years?
A lot of people go to college for 7 years.
Well, hey, you're talking to somebody who was. Now, I took 2 semesters off at different times, but from the time I entered college to the time I walked the stage at North Texas, 6.5 years.
I entered college in August of 2002, and between time off and some, we'll just call them less than ideal decisions I made along the way,
there you go.
I was done in August of 2009.
Well, see, there you go. Now, yours was all at one school.
No, mine was spread out over 2.
Oh, yeah.
Good old CTC. And
That's right. You did some CTC action.
Mm-hmm.
The Warriors I saw now.
Is that really? I don't even think they had a mascot.
Well, because it's Texas A&M, Central Texas. You have some Aggie academic
they were
blood
not.
in
They
you.
were not tied to Texas A&M when I went there, sir. Nope.
They were not part of the system?
I have never been a part of the system yet. I have no associate's degree, nothing.
All right, because they're now Texas A&M, Central Texas. And it's right there. The campus right there off the Parkway going to the airport, and it's Warriors and all that stuff. Yeah, it's right off of there. Don't
you put that evil on me, Ricky Bobby.
Just saying. I just knew that you went there. So somebody talking about the long academic term said, yeah, they're called doctors. Yeah.
Shout out to Chris Farley. Stay hard.
Our man CB on the Specs text line, which we always open to you, always make available to you at 512-337-3776. Good, bad, and different. 512-337-3776. Says Bose Cave was at Texas so long. He and Jordan Shipley were teammates back in 2004. They were.
Between Bose Cave started in his freshman year was 99. Got there the same year. He was in the same recruiting class with one Rod Babers, Chris Sims, Corey Redding, Derek Dockery. Jordan Shipley's last year was 2009. So there's a really good swath of Texas players that you can tie to either Bose Cave or Jordan Shipley and play 6 degrees of separation.
Yeah, that's some good stuff.
Yeah.
That's almost as good as like we would talk about that whole thing about when I was telling that story about the 10th president of the United States, John Tyler, for whom the city in East Texas was named from 1841 to 1845 when he took office after William Henry Harrison died in office 30 days afterwards for pneumonia. He still has a living grandson. Was that one of the first inconceivables we did? Yeah, I think so. On back. That one in the Civil War widow.
That one too.
The Civil War widow, and I think she recently passed, or granddaughter of the Civil War. Whatever it was.
So I'm guessing John Tyler found whatever the natural herb preceding.
Yeah, it was actually
Viagra
a Civil War widow. Now that I remember, it was an actual Civil War widow because she was very, very young, like in the 30s.
When you start doing the math, it gets a little unsavory.
Yep. So anyway, so there it is. So anyway, I hope things are well for everybody, no matter your texting your route is. So hope it works out.
Somebody's talk to text jacked up on this text.
Yeah, there's some stuff going on there. So breaking news: Jeff Howe, Fighting Aggies graduate, might have to rethink his pay. Needs to be lower pay rates.
Nope. It was not affiliated with A&M when I went there.
He was not a graduate. He just went to a branch campus of A&M. That's all.
And it was Central Texas College. It was not even the A&M
branch.
I think my last semester there, they had taken over because there was a Tarleton. Somebody's got I don't know the lineage.
Tarleton is part of the
system. It was just the Tarleton building, and then I think like a year after is when they did the name change and it became Texas. Because I started seeing all this stuff, Texas A&M, Central Texas. I'm like, the A&M built a campus? Like, no, they took over the Tarleton building. I'm like, oh, okay.
There you go.
Good to know, I guess.
Yeah. So there you go. Somebody said, any update on the quarterback camp at Westlake on Sunday? I will confess to you that I did not realize there was a quarterback camp at Westlake on Sunday, but glad you let us know. We'll endeavor to find out some stuff about that.
I say was the Elite. What are you talking about, this Sunday or last Sunday? Because there was an Austin Elite 11 regional. Was that? I don't know if that was at Westlake.
It might have been this past Sunday. Yeah,
I was a little preoccupied with spring game and other things.
So. Okay. Do you want to recycle what you were talking to Bucky and Aaron about in our notebook, because it clearly pertains to the Longhorn basketball? Or you want to do that, or you wanted to jump into it now? I didn't know how you wanted to position that.
Let's just save it for the notebook.
Okay. Yeah. All right.
We can talk a little hoops in the notebook.
Okay. All right. We'll definitely do that. Hey, it's a pretty big baseball game for your alma mater tonight.
Yeah.
Texas State is, you say, oh, come on, it's the Orange Road Cone Series. They're playing UTSA. I liked it when they did that, when they called it that, the Orange Road Cone Series. And they had that, they played for that Road Cone Trophy when they used to play UTSA, and UTSA won the earlier meeting in San Marcos, but now they're playing down in San Antonio tonight, right on the UTSA campus over there on the northwest side. And so they're playing them tonight, and you say, well, what's the big whoop? Well, UTSA is now a ranked program, ranked number 25. Yeah. So my point is this, that helps. This is something Ty Harrington said when he was on, when we were doing the game between Texas and Texas State last Tuesday, when he said in talking with Stephen Trout, the head coach, that even though at the time, going into that Monday, Tuesday with the Longhorns, and even after the Monday night loss to Texas in San Marcos 1 week ago today, Texas State was 92nd in the RPI. This morning, they're 68.
Yeah, by the way, UTSA, 29 in the RPI.
Yeah. So what Ty said is that Stephen Trout told him, we've got time. We have some time to, with some RPI building games. They still have to go to Fort Worth and play TCU. They got a big one that night by beating Texas on the road. And that took them, I think, to 79. It took them from 92 to 79. And
sounds right.
And they still have some crucial road conferences. The conferences, they go to Troy this weekend. They still have to go to Louisiana.
Sweeping Marshall over the weekend helped.
It helped. Absolutely, it helped. But this, and I would not have pegged this game as being like even as recent as a week ago. That would have been a good RPI boost, but it will be. They can find, like you said, here's UTSA 29 in the RPI, and they're going down there. So if they were able to get a road RPI win down there, it's a big boost.
They playing that at UTSA, or they playing that at Wolf? Okay,
it's at UTSA.
Somebody on the Specs text line mentioned Trill Carter, the Texas defensive line commit. I was going to talk Trill Carter in the notebook, so hang tight. We'll get that at the bottom.
In other words, what we're gearing up for, folks, is a slam bang edition of the notebook. It's coming up here at the bottom of the hour. It's a slam bang edition of the notebook, so we'll have that coming up. But okay, show of hands. Any of you guys, Cam? Any of you guys stay up all into the second overtime to watch the Stars last night fall to the Minnesota Wild? NHL playoffs or
not it?
No, blank stares.
I checked out at second overtime.
I'm expecting that text from Tom McKay to come in at any minute now, chastising you for not seeing it through,
for not watching.
My bad, Tom.
Well, yeah,
I could have watched it on that 75-inch LG TV I've got from AV Consultations.
But I
conked out probably about 11:30 last night.
I was jumping back and forth from that to the Dodgers Mets game last night, watching. Hey, let's do it right now. Give me the Flex 30 update. We're going to do the Flex 30.
Flex ATX for the best high school sports coverage. Listen to the Horn and go to FLXATX.com. Flex 30 is brought to you by Brain Vault. Brain Vault is a revolutionary and patented mouthguard that has been proven to help reduce the risk of concussion. Visit BrainVault.com and join the movement.
Greg, you all right over there?
I got a stuck keyboard over here.
Okay, I heard something slam on the table. I was making sure you're all right.
Yeah, it was a stuck keyboard over here.
Don't need you trying to call a baseball game with a cast on your hand because you're punching inanimate objects.
No, not punching it. I was just popping that thing down on the desk. Push. I was kind of like slamming it down, kind of like, if you remember the coverage when President Reagan was shot in 1981.
I wasn't born yet, so I don't remember.
All right, so that day that happened, they're going to live news coverage all around, and Frank Reynolds was the anchor at the desk for ABC, and somebody had reported something to him, and he went with it on the air, and then it turned out to be erroneous, and they said, no, and he has it, in his IFB in the earpiece, and they said, oh, hearing now that that's not the case, the president is not in critical conditions, and then he goes, and then he just turns and says it almost through gritted teeth, let's get it nailed down. He just kind of says that. And he was not happy at all about that. So, and it turned out, of course, that was the day the NCAA basketball national championship game that night. Indiana with Isaiah Thomas was going to beat North Carolina that night in the national championship game. And they were still playing the third place game back then. And it was going to be LSU against Virginia with Ralph Sampson. His final game as a collegiate. And someone interviewed Rudy Macklin of LSU. Do you think you should be playing a game, especially a third-place game with the President of the United States in the hospital after being shot? Rudy Macklin's response was to say, why not? He ain't no kin of mine. That was the last year of the third-place game.
Yeah.
They didn't bring the third-place game back after that, But anyway, no, I had a stuck keyboard there, so I was
good. All right.
That. No, I was going to ask, first of all, Cameron Parker had high school baseball broadcasting duties that, in fact, elicited a nosebleed from him, a prolific nosebleed during all that. First of all, you're not bleeding anymore for the nose, right?
That's a little iffy.
Oh, really?
We're on some antibiotics, so we'll see. We'll see.
Do you
tonight.
have a game to call tonight?
Yes, sir. Round Rock, Cedar Ridge.
So there you go. So
you do the penny bit, Cam. Try that. Tried that yet?
If you bleed during the game, we need to see pictures.
Okay. Penny on the forehead.
Yeah. If you bleed, you need to post.
Okay.
Just saying.
I got a penny in my car, Cam, if you want one on the way out.
Do I have to tape it to my forehead?
I think it's
how's
stick
it
there.
stick? Okay.
Stick it.
Lick it
right there. Just put it
right
right
on the nostril, like it's just supposed to constrict the blood vessels.
Yeah.
Okay.
So there you go.
Right.
But the other reason I knew you had a game call. I wanted to get to that. But the other reason I wanted to say this, and this rolls it all the way back, as I tell people quite often, I go around the garage to get to the barn. Sometimes I was watching Dodgers Mets last night. None other than Brett Beatty.
Yeah, just got called up.
Called up yesterday, delivers an RBI single in the game, makes a great play over at third. Mets beat the Dodgers, so it's good to see the former Lake Travis Cavalier called right up and contributing right away. So,
Longhorn signee at one point in time.
Absolutely. So good to see Brett Beatty playing at the bigs and doing so well for the New York Mets.
By the way, if you're at your local big box store and they sell sports cards there, Brett Beatty, his rookie card is in 2023 Top Series 1. So
is it?
I want to grab you one, yeah.
See, there you go.
And also, Craig, this relates to Flex that does kind of Texas football. Baylor and former Cedar Ridge receiver Jalen Ellis is in the transfer portal.
Okay. There's an update on it there. So there it is, a broad scope with your Flex 30 update this morning. Specs text line, hey, somebody asked you if you tried Afrin. Somebody else said use Afrin.
Okay.
An Afrin soaked cotton ball, if you start bleeding, that needs to stop. Somebody else says keep the Afrin with you. So there you go.
It's like no spray, right?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
You want to give him the PSA again, Craig? On nasal spray?
Yeah, just, try not to overuse it, because then you get really attached to it, and then you want to keep using it, and then it is less effective for you.
See, my doc told me yesterday to just stay away from nasal sprays for the rest of the week.
Craig's saying nasal spray is like the gateway drug, I guess. I don't know.
It could be.
I'm just saying, just keep that. The question was, it was the Elite 11 regional camp.
Okay. It's been kind of out of sight, out of mind because, Texas already has their quarterback situation wrapped up for 2024.
Yeah.
But I'll go check it out. I know we had some area quarterbacks in there, but I'll have to go look at the results.
Somebody on the Specs text line said CTC is a 2-year college. UCT-A&M is a 4-year college. Yeah, if you went on A&M, it would be that.
I didn't do that though, so
yes,
doesn't apply.
It was just Central Texas College before they were known as Texas A&M.
There was no
Central
Texas A&M involvement that I'm aware of while I was enrolled there. So
we might have to do the historical check on see what years were you there?
What was my last semester there? That would have been
05?
Spring of 2006. I think I took a couple classes.
Okay.
I'd really have to go look at my transcript to be able to tell you for sure.
There. Okay. Yeah. Did you get an associate's degree there?
Nope.
Okay. All right. Somebody said, hey, I started at UT in 79, flunked out twice, got my degree as a working adult from Texas State at the age of 52 in 2012.
Well, there you go.
Walked on a Thursday. My son walked the next day with his degree in music education. Eat 'em up, cats. Well done.
That's good. That's good stuff right there.
Well done. Somebody wanting to know, Cam, is Sikora pitching tonight?
Believe so. Yes, at Round Rock High School.
Okay.
7 o'clock first pitch.
Okay.
Check it out.
Okay. All right. So there you go. Friend Tom Emily Wolfette said, I was a Mets season ticket holder in the early 90s. They stunk then. And talking about the Mets' number one prospect, Brett Beatty. So good that he's up with the big club. All right. When we come back, we will bring you this swole, Longhorn notebook that Jeff has. Been a while since you used the term swole.
Yeah, that might be the first time I've ever heard you use it on the air, so props to you, sir.
If you had swole on your bingo card, there you go.
Well, Trill Carter, transfer. It's Portal Palooza, if you will.
How about
hoops
that?
and football
I like
on the other
that.
side.
Can we do T-shirts that say Portal Palooza?
I don't know, with the Lollapalooza people get pissed because trademark infringement.
Yeah, there's lots of palooza out there going on. Yeah, that's a good point. All right, we'll continue to take your texts on the Specs text line, 337-3776. Got a lot to get to today here on Light the Tower on the Horn, 104.9, 101.9, AM 1260. We're live, local, and digital on the Horn app and at hornfm.com. You heard us mention all these seasons overlapping that happens in the spring when you have the NHL Stanley Cup playoffs starting, the NBA playoffs are underway, Major League Baseball is rolling along. Hey, there's even spring football. There's a lot of that happening. But in order to take all of this in, and that includes your entertainment with the streaming devices, and you're a little unsure of, or you're really just not happy with your home entertainment setup. That's where our good friend Tom McKay and Audiovisual Consultations can make a difference for you. Tom and his staff have the equipment, the knowledge, the expertise, the vision for helping you realize that vision of how you want your entertainment viewing and listening experience to come in. You don't have to go out and shop for the big box stores for that 75-inch HD TV or the Sonos sound equipment. They have all of the latest and all of that sort of stuff, and they probably have the TV that you're wanting in stock. If not, Tom and his staff can lay their hands on it pretty quickly as well. And then you don't have to worry about all the mounting and, did I do this right the way I wanted it in my den or family room or man cave or bedroom or living room or outside patio? That's where they're the experts. That's where they can take that worry off your shoulders, and they'll work within your budget as well to make sure that it works out best for you. Check them out on the web at avconsultations.com. That's avconsultations.com. Or give Tom and his staff a call today at 512-255-8678. That's 512-255-8678. Let Tom McKay and Audiovisual Consultations help you realize the home entertainment system of your dreams. This is Light the Tower on the Horn as we rock with you here on a Tuesday morning. Soupy, murky, gloomy Tuesday morning. Hopefully some of that will burn off. Looks like it'll be okay for the Longhorn baseball game tomorrow night at home against Abilene Christian University. Or, as my oldest son Andy, a proud graduate of Angelo State, who was the arch rival of Abilene Christian. They're 80 miles apart, Abilene and San Angelo. And when they were arch rivals, both in the Lone Star Conference, he said they used to call Abilene Christian almost Christian University. That was their term for that, was almost Christian.
Real quick
University.
before we move on, has Michael Jackson been officially canceled by society, or are we still?
No, I mean you hear him a lot on radio.
He hadn't been canceled. That whole Netflix documentary didn't stick a fork in his legacy.
I don't think so.
Right.
I don't think that. There was a Broadway show called MJ that I was with the Longhorn basketball team a year and a half ago. That the team went to that thing. It did get shut down because the cast got COVID for several months before it reopened.
All right, I just didn't know if Michael Jackson was on the canceled list or not.
No, have not seen it. But by the way, we have a Broadway musical note coming up in Inconceivable.
Okay.
We do have we've got a wide range of things with Inconceivable. All right.
And real quick, again,
yes.
another music tidbit before we get to the notebook. I'm not delaying the notebook. This just popped in my head.
Because people are getting antsy now because you're delaying the notebook here.
Just sit tight. We'll get to it.
Okay.
I want to credit Rod Babers with something that I realized recently. When we did the music survey, artists you hate, Rod's was R. Kelly. It's like the music doesn't sound the same. Like you don't hear it the same.
Right.
Since we've, not gonna go into it. Throw R. Kelly into the Google machine, kids. If you don't know what he did,
you'll see everything. Yeah.
I'll agree with Rod because an R. Kelly song came up. I was just random. I had the Apple Music on shuffle, and an R. Kelly song came up, and you started listening to it. Like, yeah, that really. Knowing what we know now, it does. Not only does it not sound the same, but it's actually pretty disgusting. So,
I've kind of.
I think I've had to shelve R. Kelly's music personally. Just put it over here to the side and just don't go down that road anymore.
I've kind of. I wouldn't say I've gone completely that way when a Michael Jackson song comes on, but I do process it differently than I used to when I would hear one of his tunes.
Yeah,
I do. It strikes me differently.
It's the same thing with Kanye West, I think, for my generation.
Okay. There you go. Or was another?
But like Michael Jackson, he's probably one of the best at what he does or what he did musically. But
it's so brilliant. You can still appreciate it to some extent, but it just doesn't
completely
hit you the same.
Yeah. Somebody pointed out that Cirque du Soleil has an MJ1 show in Vegas. Yeah, that's true. I haven't seen that. I saw the Beatles Love Show with the Cirque du Soleil thing in Vegas, which was really good. I really enjoyed that. Somebody said, "What about the Dave Chappelle version of R. Kelly?" I haven't seen that.
Great stuff.
Yeah, seen that. I haven't seen that.
I don't know how you would react to that one, Craig.
Okay,
but if you get a chance, you should watch it. Thank you for that on the text line.
Yeah, CB also said the guy who directed Training Day is making a Michael Jackson biopic.
Is that Antoine Fuqua?
Yeah, he's making that. Had Bevo Lance Jason wanting to know their Jeff Better question: did Rod talk you into listening and appreciating the band U2?
No, U2 still sucks. Overrated. All right, now we can get to the notebook.
You ready? Let's go to the notebook.
Jeff Howe's Longhorn Notebook.
With a veritable cornucopia of things, right?
Yeah, let's start with football. Trill Carter commits to Texas yesterday, Minnesota transfer. He's got 2 seasons of eligibility left. I like taking multi-year guys in the portal. This is huge for a couple of reasons. One, the kind of player you're getting. Honorable mention, all Big Ten last season for Minnesota. Started all 13 games for them. Pretty productive player for P.J. Fleck. He's going to be an interior guy, 6'2", 300. I went and looked at his snap counts at Pro Football Focus. He had the 8th most snaps last season of any interior defensive lineman in the Big Ten. So a guy that's durable, a guy that's going to be down to down you can count on. Most of his snaps were on the interior, either lined up in the A gap or B gap. So again, he's going to provide probably, I would guess, at that nose position with Tavondre Sweat, Vernon Broughton, and he'll be in that mix behind those guys. This is key because when you look at that defensive tackle depth chart, Craig, which I know you got a good look at it on Saturday. Did you print one out, by the way? Did you laminate your spring game depth chart?
We had charts.
Okay.
I did. I ended up, because the information that I was given got to us a little bit, and I was up in Waco, and
okay.
and so by the time we got, I had full
charts, not laminated charts.
No, we did them off laptops.
Okay, cool.
We did off laptops, so it worked the same.
There
It's just I like having the expanded size of the usual charts. We didn't have that, but I did have full.
Nice.
Full two deep broadcast charts. Yes.
So if you look at the defensive tackle depth chart, you'll notice with Tavondre Sweat, Byron Murphy, Alfred Collins, Vernon Broughton, all of those guys are draft eligible after this season.
Mm-hmm.
So it's possible you could lose all 4 of your defensive tackles. What Trill Carter can do, at the very least, he can give you a buffer to where you don't need to go into the portal next year and get a 1-year guy. You've already got a guy on campus that's had a full season in your system and will have gone through it all of next year. And not just in your system learning the ins and outs. He's have gone through your winter conditioning program. He'll have gone through your summer conditioning program twice. And it provides a little bit of a buffer maybe before you're ready. You know, if one of those guys, like if it's Aaron Bryant or Zach Swanson or just one of those younger defensive tackles, Sadir Mitchell, who I thought flashed in the spring game quite a bit, more than I was expecting him to. And it's not just because you notice him because of his size. It's actually because he had some pretty productive snaps. But if those guys aren't ready for primetime reps, Trill Carter at least will give you now an experienced veteran body. Still, you're guaranteed to have at least one in front of those guys if he sticks around. And I don't think all 4 of those guys will leave. The only one who for sure is gone after this year is Tavondre Sweat because he doesn't have any eligibility left. So I like the move because you're getting a productive player and you're getting a guy that, again, can give you a veteran presence. If you have a mass exodus of bodies, still give you a young presence to be there with the younger guys. So, I mean, I'm not expecting Texas to do a ton in the portal as much. Like we've seen Sark the last 2 years, but they've been pretty aggressive in the spring edition of the portal. You know, a couple of years ago, they were adding guys late. You know, Keelan Robinson was a late add. I believe Ben Davis was a late add. Ovie Gofu was a mid-year guy. So was Rashawn Thornton. But you know, last year, Ajay Hall was a late add. Jaleel Billingsley was a late add. So we've seen them be aggressive with those kind of guys. I just don't. I think it's for a couple of reasons. One, you're going to have to make some room. And there will be guys that enter the portal this week after their exit meetings with Sark. But unless something unexpected happens, Craig, they don't have a big glaring need in the portal. The one position where you can say, I think there's 2 positions where you can look at them and say, okay, can you go get portal help here? I think one is edge. Just I think if the right guy pops up, just too good to pass up, you got to go make a run at them. And the other one is tight end because I still think that's especially because we didn't get to see Juan Davis in the spring game. What was Juan Davis? Was it a knee injury? I forget. I think it was a knee that kept.
It was.
Thank you for that. But at any rate, you know, if something were to happen to JT Sanders, and yes, that's me knocking on wood. If something were to happen to JT Sanders, I'm not saying the drop-off would make the tight end position in your offense irrelevant, but it would definitely be forced to have a diminished role just because there's so many other better options on the offense. Like at that point, you'd be like, okay, what's better to have on the field? Who's better to have on the field? Gunnar Helm or an extra running back or an extra wide receiver, depending on what personnel grouping you want to use. So it could completely transform your offense. So I think if the right guy at tight end popped up, I could see them doing that. And then I think, you know, now you're at the point where depending on what your numbers look like, now you can afford to take, okay, maybe, you know, we just want to shore up safety depth or inside linebacker depth or whatever. Offensive line, I think, is a place where you can always look to add quality bodies. So I said this yesterday. The portal is more of a luxury now for Texas, at least in this cycle, than it is a necessity.
Right.
Which that's where you want to be when you're building your roster. So Trill Carter's, I don't think he'll be the only portal addition, but don't think Texas is just going to load up on guys in the portal before it closes. Or, you know, you'll get those guys after, but when the names stop cycling through, close the business on April 30th and that pool is there, I wouldn't expect Texas to just go crazy and just start offering a bunch of guys and trying to add a bunch of portal guys. Let's talk basketball.
Okay.
So we didn't hit this yesterday, but Jaden Nunn from VCU made his official visit to Texas over the weekend. I feel like it's Texas and Baylor. It's a battle between those two for him. Texas did get on him a little bit late, but I think they realized with the A.J. Johnson situation unfolding the way it did, and then Arterio Morris going into the portal, I think at that point, maybe the guard pool expanded for them a little bit. So Jaden Nunn was a guy that I heard that they liked once they realized they needed a guard and started evaluating guys. Jaden Nunn was a guy they really liked. Craig, I don't know how much VCU you watched this year.
A little bit.
I actually did end up watching a little bit of VCU. I'm just a college basketball sicko at times like that, especially on the weekends when there's nothing else going on.
I did. I saw 3 or 4 of their games, in fact.
Might be the best on-ball defender left in the portal. 6'4", really athletic, average over 9 points a game, steal and a half per game. Put his name into the Twitter machine. One of the first clips you'll see is him in the A10 tournament semifinals, driving down the lane, just putting some poor kid from St. Louis on a poster. So the athleticism is there. Shot 40% from 3. So you combine all this other stuff. The fact that he shot 40% from 3 is great. I heard the official visit went well. So Baylor and Texas are in a battle for Jaden Nunn right now. As far as who's on campus right now, Greg, we've been talking about Caden Shedrick since he entered the portal out of Virginia.
Yeah, we sure
and he's been on the staff's radar since he entered the portal out of Virginia. 2 years of eligibility left. Really athletic, versatile forward. We know Texas talks about playing positionless basketball. I think he would fit into that front court mix really well. He can play with Dylan Dessou. I mentioned this when I was on with Bucky and Aaron. I don't think RT gets enough credit for this. When they were without Timmy Allen for the Big 12 tournament, they played Dylan Dessou and Christian Bishop together, and it worked. It was an effective lineup for them. So Dylan Dessou, if he comes back and you get Caden Shedrick, these guys can play together. And I think the style of the play that Texas employs compared to the style of play Virginia employs, where we know Tony Bennett, you want to slow it down, keep it low, it's defense. I don't think Caden Shedrick has really shown his full skill set. Texas is the kind of place that can allow him to really show the full skill set, and you can see a little bit more of the athleticism, a little bit more of the offensive game. You know he's going to provide you with rebounding and rim protection, but he's a guy that, and again, he's been a high priority for this staff ever since he went to the portal. He's on campus right now, so once the visit wraps up, we'll see how it goes. But Missouri, Duke obviously is going to be a big player in this recruitment, but Texas taking their chances with Caden Shedrick. I don't know if you want to rank transfer portal priorities, but if you did, he would be pretty high up there, if not at the very top for this staff.
Wow.
So major visit going on right now in the 40 acres.
Yeah. We'll obviously follow that and see how that works. Longhorn baseball has that extra day. When David Pierce was on with us yesterday, and if you didn't hear the conversation, go to our podcast page at hornfm.com, and you can hear that conversation.
He let us know they did not stop at Buc-ee's and Temple on the bus ride back home. So
he also told us that the what's the best way to describe this? The stinkiest trip that they had that he was ever a part of, where the team did not get a chance to change uniform and then change shower and change, which they did Sunday in Waco. Did that and then bust home. But there, sometimes you don't have that opportunity. In some cases, you don't have that luxury. Jim Schlossnagel, when we were over there at the game at College Station when Texas won back in the end of March, was down on the field. David and I were talking with Schloss, and he was talking about they had just come back from Tennessee, and he goes, we couldn't even you couldn't even take showers because he said it was 2 parts. One, because Thompson Bowling Arena, the basketball arena which is nearby, was being used for something else, so they couldn't use that. That was option one. Really, that's option one.
Was it being used for the women's NCAA tournament? Because that was the same weekend, I think.
It was on beyond that now because they were on to the Sweet 16 week.
Okay.
That week, I believe. Yeah, it was. That was the Sweet 16 weekend.
Was it? Okay.
Coming in because I came straight back from Kansas City and then went on from there. So I don't know. But there was something else going on. It might have been football related, but they didn't have access to it. And then
I'll get some monster truck rally.
And then apparently there are some showers available and some kind of adjunct locker room thing at Lindsey Nelson Field at the ballpark there. But he said it was like a spigot in a public park. And he just kind of said, "Come on, fellas, we're going home." And they all flew home and they were all on a charter, but they flew straight back to Easterwood field there in College Station.
Cameron, what was that bus ride you were telling us about? That's stinky.
This is pretty bad.
Stinky select
Summer
base
league
was like
baseball.
17 hours or something.
Yeah, from Boise, Idaho to Spearfish, South Dakota. So about 12 hours.
Wow.
Just
All throughout the night. Yeah.
I drove one of those 15-passenger vans with a group of like 7 guys back in the concert vending days from Las Vegas to Boise. That was 15 hours. But we were all clean. I mean, it was the next morning when we left after concert, and I drove it all 15 hours up there, dude. It was a long, long drive. But
So, Cam, was this during the summer?
Oh, yeah.
All right, so it just smelled like sunscreen and a laundry hamper. on that
We made
bus.
sure that we had Febreze. So we were in the back and just
not
the entire time.
not enough
The
Febreze
worst
in the
part-
state of Idaho to fix that smell.
No, we drove up the Febreze sales in the Pacific Northwest.
So David Pierce was telling us yesterday the worst one of those types of road trips they had was when he was at Houston as an assistant, and in 2001 they're playing at East Carolina. Jeff Howe's been over to Greenville, North Carolina, so who knows? It's a couple hours. I guess by bus because you can drive it in
Like
about
an hour,
90 minutes.
Yeah, hour and a half.
Yeah.
Something like that.
Yeah. So
From Raleigh.
yes. So because you flew in and out of RDU, didn't you?
I sure did. Yeah.
And so by the time they bus back and then they flew back, what did he say, to Dallas? And then the flight got canceled due to weather. So
They missed their connecting flight.
yeah, because of weather.
Yeah.
And then they wound up having to bus back down to Houston an additional 4 hours. They got in about 7 o'clock in the morning.
He said, "Well, yeah, it's like 21 hours or something."
He said it was like
It's
the
awful.
worst one. He said, "You notice I didn't hesitate when he asked me which one." He jumped right to that. Having said all that, he did tell us that probably you can expect the freshman Kobe Minchie to go tomorrow night for Texas when they play Abilene Christian at UFC Dish Falk Field. And it's probably a good thing it was scheduled because there's a 70% chance of rain today.
Yeah, it looks like it's going to be pretty nasty the rest of the day.
Yeah,
so.
tomorrow might be okay, though, for that. In fact, it should be okay for that. All right, so there's your Longhorn Notebook. Somebody on the Specs text line asked me if I got stuck in any Georgetown traffic from the country festival. I got stuck in traffic this morning coming out of that. It had nothing to do with the country festival. I was, the great Don Miller, our traffic reporter, was telling us about a big old wreck down by Wells Branch, and it backed. Think about this. Those of you who drive I-35, think about this. Wells Branch is right on the North Austin / Pflugerville city line. Traffic was backed up all the way to 1431, which is just south of Georgetown,
Good
north
Lord.
of Round Rock. Yeah. I got off of it. I was like, I got to get off this. I know if I sit here, I'm going to sit here for an hour and a half. I'm not even going to make it the show. So I kind of wriggled my way out and went west out to Palmer and looped back down the Mopac. And it takes a while to do it, but at least you make it on time if you do it that way.
Hey, can I make
mess.
a Texas football note real quick before we hit the break?
Yep.
So I'm looking at, I just saw it scroll across the bottom of the screen on NFL Network. Daniel Jeremiah's latest mock draft.
Yep.
He's got two first-round picks, the last 2 picks of the first round, because remember, the Dolphins forfeit their first-round pick, so there's only 31 this year.
Right.
The last 2 picks of the first round, he's got Felix Anudike-Uzomah from K-State and Will McDonald from Iowa State. If you want to know about future NFL draft projections, let's go back and look at how Kelvin Banks did in both of those games against 2 pass rushers projected to go in the first round.
Yeah.
Don't plan on Kelvin Banks being here a 4th year, people.
He played very well.
Be 3-9
And in spite of that, he was named the Big 12 Conference Defensive Player of the Year
over Jalen Ford.
over Jalen Ford.
Don't agree with
UK
it.
was,
but
yep. Hey, somebody else pointed boys high school lacrosse. Drove my son and 14 minutes, I guess he meant, guys, back from the tournament in Dallas. The worst smelling thing I've ever smelled. The lacrosse bag with all the equipment in it is a truly horrendous thing. Hadn't thought about that. The equipment.
It's a staph infection on wheels.
Wow. Yeah. Okay. All right. Coming up, we'll bring you Inconceivable, as if some of that wasn't already inconceivable enough as well. So we'll get to that coming up here on Light the Tower on the Horn 104.9, 101.9 AM 1260. We're live, local, and digital on the Horn app and at hornfm.com. You know, with the advent of the possibility of stormy weather around the greater Austin and central Texas area, it is important to keep in mind that we could have some severe thunderstorms on down the road in the spring. That could even knock your power out. This is where you've heard me tell you about John Hardy and the great staff at Divided Sky Roofing and Solar, and they are our go-to people when it comes to roof repair, needing a new roof, that sort of thing. But they can also help you be prepared for any short or long-term power outages by installing a backup battery or a Generac generator. Now, those backup batteries come with a 30% federal tax credit, and Divided Sky Roofing and Solar can help keep your family safe, warm, and keep your power on by installing one of those backup batteries or Generac generators. Why not call and see which product is right for you? You can get in touch with them today. The number is 512-995-ROOF. It's 512-995-ROOF, and it's Texas TEC license number 37397. Also, if you're interested in a new roof and think that it might be time, they can give you a no-obligation, honest assessment of whether you have damage and whether you might need a new roof and what they can do for you there. And, of course, that includes the possibility of helping you get a new roof with those Timberline solar shingles. 512-995-ROOF, or check them out at DividedSkyAustin.com. It means variety today because we do have quite a bit of variety on this with Inconceivable. And this was an item I was going to get to yesterday. Didn't have time, but we'll bring it up today because we do mention in Inconceivable the fast food updates. The other day I mentioned, and Cam got pretty fired up about this because Cam is a McDonald's customer like I am, and I forgot. Do you have the app? Do you do things on the app?
No, I don't use the app.
Okay, yeah. Well,
I stay away from the fast food apps because I know how dangerous it could be.
they can be.
I do the Chick-fil-A one. That one I do use.
Okay, all right. And I mentioned that they're doing the test marketing thing for this new burger, and you got pretty fired up about it. Well, now they've mentioned that they're tweaking the way they make all their regular signature burgers in about a dozen large cities. They plan to roll out the changes worldwide. They say they're subtle changes, but it starts with new buns that McDonald's says are softer and pillowy before they're toasted until they're golden. Pillowy. And for those of you who are fans of the Big Mac, get ready. That proprietary special sauce that they first developed in 1968, it's been tweaked a couple times over the years. They're going to put more on it. So you're going to get more special sauce on your Big Mac. They're also going to add onions to the patties while they're on the grill. The caramelized onions will have sweeter flavor. And they say they're also going to have perfectly melted cheese as well. So anyway, there's those are the plans that they're planning to roll out there. Jeff's not a big McDonald's guy anyway, so it doesn't matter on that.
I only go there during McRib season, pretty much.
That's right. I know you guys said you both didn't make it to the end of the night of the sports thing, so that would include the Warriors-Kings game?
Oh, I saw that.
Oh, you saw that?
No, I tapped out. I tapped out right after halftime, I think.
You and Draymond Green tapping out. Draymond just tapped his foot, in fact. Ejected for stomping on Domantas Sabonis, or he just put his foot down on him firmly. Fourth quarter of the game with the Kings won. By the way, this is people getting surprised today. Hey, this Kings team.
Light the beam, baby.
Yeah, they're up 2-0 on the Warriors. Now, it is going to San Francisco next for the next couple of ball games. But Green appeared to kind of step on Sabonis' chest. He was left writhing on the ground in a significant amount of discomfort after a lengthy review by the officials, during which time Sabonis spent the majority of it laying on the court receiving treatment. Then Draymond Green was assessed technical. Well, first of all, Sabonis got a technical foul for holding his leg, and that's why stepped on him there afterwards. Green given a flagrant 2, immediate ejection. His comment afterwards, my leg got grabbed. Second time in 2 nights with the referees just watching. I got to land my foot somewhere, and I'm not the most flexible person, so it's not stretching that far. I can only step so far. I'm pulling my leg away, so it is what it is. He was asked what the official said to him. He said, the explanation was, I stomped too hard. So he said so that's what it was. I stomped too hard.
I'm pretty much over Draymond Green.
He has a history of this. Remember the 2015 Western Conference Finals when he kicked Steven Adams in the Pearls?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So I think folks have noticed that.
I'm over Draymond.
While we're on the subject of sports, it's been readily acknowledged that without question, the worst ballpark in all of Major League Baseball.
Coliseum.
Thank you very much. And it is routinely, to borrow Keith Moreland's phrase, more than a few thousand fans miss each game. So
plenty of good seats available.
Yeah, as Keith would say, a few thousand are going to miss this one. That kind of thing. Well, they're trying some reverse psychology, the fan group is, with this. Jason Burke of Fan Nation noted that former season ticket holder Stu Clary has helped organize a reverse boycott at the Oakland Alameda County Coliseum. So what will come to mind if you hear it's a reverse boycott?
That means you show up?
Exactly. Here's what they got in mind. The boycott, as we always say, people stay away.
Right.
If you boycott a product, you don't use the product. If you boycott a team, you don't go to the ball games. He wants to do a reverse boycott and call it the We Are Here reverse boycott. The idea is that the fans will pack the park and show they still wanted to support the team despite the poor attendance trends. They were last. Major League Baseball. You know what their average attendance per game? Average paid attendance.
1,402.
Paid per attendance.
9,000.
9,973. Well done. 9,973 fans. Early on this year, they're outdistancing the pack, although attendance is up at 12,254 per game. They've picked June 13th. They said we wanted to come up with a random weeknight game versus someone other than the Giants, Yankees, or Red Sox. In other words, a game that would be poorly attended ordinarily, said Clay. He explained that Oakland supporters have grown tired of the team's ownership and the direction of the team, especially with the possibility that owner John Fisher will move them to Las Vegas if he gets his desired outcome. What's more, ticket prices have increased in recent seasons, even as the team has struggled on the field. So they haven't made it past a division series since 2006, and they're coming off 60-102 last year. They're 3-13 so far this year. So it's not looking good, but he wants to do organize a reverse boycott, pack the park, and say, look, there are people here who will show up if you do something. So they're doing this against the Rays.
Okay.
On June 13th. I mean, I understand his direction on it.
Yeah, no, I get it. It's just the name just makes it sound insanely idiotic.
Yeah. I had a Broadway note for you. Phantom of the Opera. You ever seen it?
No, my brother actually and his wife just went to New York and saw it, though.
Good for them because it's about to close.
That's why they went, yep.
Longest running Broadway show ever in history. Nearly 14,000 performances after 35 years. Past Fiddler on the Roof, all those.
Cam, you ever seen a Broadway show?
I have not. On my bucket list, but I do like musicals.
Oh yeah. I, 4 or 5 of them, in fact, including that MJ show. That was a Broadway show, but I've seen. Yeah, I saw A Chorus Line on Broadway. Yeah, I did see that. So anyway, it's going to shut down. So get ready for that. Got a drug update for you. Every time we see random drugs, that are left somewhere or dropped out of an airplane, which led, of course, to the great story that is Cocaine Bear. Maybe we'll have Cocaine Shark because cocaine, about 2 tons of it, worth nearly $440 million, was found floating in the sea near Italy, off the Italian coast, near Sicily, to be exact. More than 2 tons. Look at that! It looks like a bunch of floats out there.
Yeah.
So they recovered that, and then got one other story for you, which I know you will appreciate. There's a new world distance record for a paper airplane.
How far are we talking?
The world's record for the farthest flight by a paper airplane has been broken by 3 aerospace engineers who work for Boeing that they created. This paper airplane flew 289 feet 9 inches, which is pretty much the length of a football field.
Yeah.
About that. Beat the previous record by like 37 feet, 252 feet in South Korea. And when they did it, these guys who work for Boeing had to do the whole thing with origami and all this kind of stuff with the paper and all that. They had Guinness people observing how they put it together right in front of them to make sure it was done right, full scale. So they got inspiration from various hypersonic aircrafts, which, of course, are vehicles that can fly faster than 5 times the speed of sound. So they came up with this paper airplane design called Mach 5. How'd you like to be a Guinness evaluator?
Do kids still do paper airplanes and paper football and things like that? Use their imagination?
Yeah, they should. So much is taken away from the imagination today. So there you go. You have a new world record holder for your paper airplane people to chase out there. Second hour of Light the Tower coming up on the Horn. Second hour of Light the Tower on the Horn. Greg Wade, Jeff Howe with you. Our producer, Cameron Parker, alongside. Glad to have you with us as well. And you can certainly avail yourself of the Specs text line with questions or thoughts or comments at 337-3776, 512-337-3776. On the Specs text line, somebody said prayers for Dallas Stars hockey player Joe Pavelski and his family as he has passed away. There was a horrible hit on him last night. He was down, got back up, and was helped off the ice as he left during the playoff game last night. He did appear wobbly as he left the ice, but I had not heard that he'd passed away. All I heard,
I don't see that on Twitter.
Yeah, all I'm
or
seeing is
on
Joe
any kind of breaking
Pavelski's
news.
status. He was able to get to his knee, speak to the trainer before he skated over to the bench. They said he was doing okay. His status for Game 2 tomorrow night uncertain.
Yeah, that's why.
And I don't know if that was. It doesn't appear when you read that text that is tongue in cheek. It could have just been a big mistake.
I hope it wasn't tongue in cheek because that's. We joke about a lot here on this show, but I don't. Just doesn't. The whole thing just doesn't.
Okay,
sit well with
Texter,
me.
you have the advantage. I've seen nothing. Absolutely,
there's nothing
nothing
up there about Joe Pavelski.
Okay, good. So I'm asking you, Texter, who says prayers for him and his family's passed away. I'm asking you, where'd you get that? Would you like to tell us where you got it? Because there's nothing, absolutely nothing that says he's passed away on that.
Yeah, and then we're getting several texts in that he did not. So.
Yeah, good. That was the hit from Matt Dumba, from the Minnesota Wild, who was initially assessed a 5-minute major, then it was changed to a 2-minute misdemeanor roughing penalty. So, I have not heard anything else from that. So, again, for the texter, if you were just texting just to see if we would read it, congratulations, you win. Okay, it's all right. Whatever. I'd rather be incorrect about something like that than have you be correct on that. So deep breath. That's good, because that would have been awful. So if it isn't true, block that texter. I would just like to. I mean, was it? If you were trying to be a jokester about it, okay, maybe some reevaluation might be in order about the things you might do that. Something. So, and like somebody said, that would be BS, not funny. and I'm just hoping when it said prayers for, I was hoping that maybe it's just got some bad information on something, heard something on that. I'm not sure, but anyway, he was helped off the ice, and then they said he was doing okay, but again, status for tomorrow night's Game 2 is uncertain. So somebody said, "Who texted that?" Not cool. It was just a number, and it's someone who has texted us. And looking at the other text from this person, they look regular texts going back months. Nothing looks really weird. Probably a little bit embarrassed now. Yeah, probably just a little bit embarrassed now about that. So anyway, I'm glad that that's not the case as well. There were a couple other cleanups, real cleanup, on the Specs text line at 337-3776 about the Draymond Green story. Somebody said, I'm not a Draymond supporter or sympathizer, but that was a BS call on him. How would it have looked if Draymond blows out a knee trying to hop over Sabonis, who's holding his leg in an ankle lock resembling Jeff Van Gundy without the leg ride?
Guess what? When you've been one of the biggest Richards in the NBA over the last decade, you don't get the benefit of the doubt.
Yeah,
sorry.
You're just not going to get. You're not going to get the call to work that way because of your track record on the deal.
Like, if Draymond just owned his reputation as being the guy who, I'll clean up what Gary Payton said about Dennis Rodman in The Last Dance, the mess up stuff guy. If you just own that, like, we've seen mess up stuff guys throughout the history of the league that just owned it. Like, Bill Laimbeer never apologized for who he was. Rick Mahorn, Dennis Rodman, even like a Lance Stevenson, they never apologized for just being the nuisance
dirty
that
players.
they could be. Yeah. But Draymond just, I don't know. I'm just tired of it. I'm just done.
Yeah. Yeah. So somebody and a lot of folks are weighing in on that. And
I heard Richard Jefferson and JJ Redick on a podcast. It was just like a clip that came up on Facebook or YouTube or something. It was a little short. And they were talking about prime Shaq, and Richard Jefferson was just aghast that Draymond Green claimed he could defend prime Shaq. He's like, Shaq was 7'1" and 300+ pounds and was athletic. Like, what was Draymond Green actually going to do to prime Shaq? He wouldn't have been able to do anything.
Nothing.
So, I don't know. It's just this Draymond thing. Oh, I could guard anybody in any era, blah, blah, blah.
Yeah. Somebody said, Draymond, I hate him unless he's on your team. Yeah. Somebody else said, he has the logic of a 5-year-old. I'm not that flexible and had to step on him. That kind of thing. So, anyway. So there you go. All right. So there's some cleanup there. Ricardo from Galveston. I'm with Jeff. I'm done with Draymond for a while. Loved him at Michigan State, though.
just own it, man.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
He said in the past that's how he hypes himself up. Is he plays in that kind of like all
with that
edge style.
edge.
There's it is right there on ESPN right now.
I'm saying like, yeah, but when you get caught, like, don't make excuses for it. Just be like, it is what it is, or whatever. It's just own it, man.
And it doesn't look good. It's not a good look when he's doing that.
The flexible thing is a really poor excuse. I mean, it's an emphatic right foot stomp, in my opinion.
Yeah.
Yeah. I'm not anti Draymond Green. I think he's a hell of a basketball player, but it's a history of pattern, and that's why he was ejected last night.
I like CB. Shaq said last night he would have done the same thing as Draymond Green. Shaq would have stomped a hole through somebody. Like, Cam, what year were you born?
97.
97. So you don't really remember prime Shaquille O'Neal.
I've watched those Lakers games.
You can't. Hey, Craig, did you call any of Shaq's games or watch any of his games when he was at Cole? Okay.
Yeah. And then his high school All-Star game. Remember the one where I said it was the worst interview I ever had afterwards? Yeah.
And then his time, like, you can't, to somebody who wasn't there to watch prime Shaquille O'Neal, you can't begin to describe what a dominating force he was. Like, other than Wilt Chamberlain, I don't know that we've ever seen anybody like Shaq that was just that could control a basketball game just with his size and athleticism combo the way he did.
The 1999 to 2002, those 3 seasons of peak Shaq.
Dude.
If you haven't YouTube those highlights, just do it.
It was not fair.
It should be shown in school. It should be part of the public education curriculum, watching Shaquille O'Neal highlights.
Like, when Shaq was locked in, man, dude, a force that will probably never, because especially the way the game is gone, it's like that's a force that will probably never be seen again in my lifetime.
Yeah. That's why he said Brock is similar to Draymond. No, he's not.
No, you know why? Because Brock owns it.
Yeah.
Brock Cunningham doesn't hide from who he is.
Yeah. He's a hard-nosed player, whatever. He doesn't try to mask about it. Somebody else said, anything bad that happens to Green, I'm happy about it. I haven't cared for him since his run-in with KD. Yeah. And CB says, if Shaq would have kept in shape, he would have been greater than he was. Yeah.
I think he's admitted it, too, publicly.
Yeah, absolutely. I've been impressed with what he's done with his life beyond basketball.
Shaq is, in that respect, Shaq is like to basketball what Babe Ruth is to baseball. Like, yeah, as good as the numbers were, can you imagine, like, if he just was less concerned with being the jovial guy off the floor than, less concerned with that and more concerned with, honing his craft?
Yeah. Said Timmy D used him. Fisher at 0.4 bailed him out. Remember the Derek Fisher?
And here come the Spurs fans. Oh, yeah, Tim Duncan, so great. By the way, Tim Duncan, not the greatest power forward ever. It's one of the most flawed arguments. He's got rings, always fundamental. Dude, I would take prime Kevin Garnett over prime Tim Duncan in a heartbeat. Let that marinate, Spurs fans.
Ooh, there. Ndamukong Suh thinks Draymond Green is an okay guy. I was watching Sue. He said, and the person says Brock Cunningham is trash.
The Ndamukong Suh thing, though, let me say this about Ndamukong Suh. The Ndamukong Suh thing is disappointing because he didn't need to be dirty. Like, he was just good enough. He was just good enough to get by on his natural God-given ability without being a Richard. Like, that's part of who Draymond is. And, like, the fact that he refuses to own it is why I don't like Draymond Green. Like, Ndamukong Suh didn't need to do that.
Right.
Just if he'd have just played and just kept his head on straight, dude, the guy would have been a multi-time All-Pro, might be headed to Canton. Like, he's that good, but, I don't know why he felt the need, especially earlier in his career, to do some of the things he did.
Yeah. Somebody disagreeing with you. That was silly, Jeff.
Well, whatever.
It was silly.
We can get into that debate at some point if you want to. There's going to be somebody that wants to debate basketball that's going to sit
somebody else says Duncan was leaps and bounds ahead of
leaps
Garnett.
and bounds my South End. Dude, come on. Some of y'all Spurs fans need to just take the black and silver glasses off and look at those two guys objectively. Kevin Garnett,
I knew this was coming.
Kevin Garnett drugged Sam Cassell and a bunch of schlubs to the Western Conference Finals once upon a time. Tim Duncan was playing with other Hall of Fame players. Tony Parker's going to be in the Hall of Fame. Ginobili's already there. The greatest coach ever in Greg Popovich. I don't take anything away from Tim Duncan, but let them switch teams, and are the results the same? Yeah, they probably are. And you know what? With Prime KG, they might actually even be better. Okay. It's a very silly, ignorant argument. All right. Just go look at the numbers. Go look at what Prime Kevin Garnett did with much less around him in Minnesota, and tell me this. You put Kevin Garnett on the Spurs, you put Tim Duncan on the Timberwolves. What are the results? Does Tim Duncan have that many rings? No, he doesn't. Does Kevin Garnett have multiple championships? Absolutely he does.
So Kyle is saying the total IQ of the show went down 100 points, with that Kevin Garnett remark.
That's fine. That's fine. Believe what you want. You're not talking me off that ledge. That
is a hill upon which you are prepared to die.
I'm willing to perish on that hill.
There's no debate, Jeff. Garnett, not even in the Duncan class.
Are you kidding me? Are you kidding me? Not even in the class? Y'all act like Tim Duncan was like George Mikan, Wilt Chamberlain, and like Kobe all combined in one. Like, dude, Tim Duncan was good. You saying Kevin Garnett's not in the same class? Dude, get out of here with that. A 7-footer that could run the floor like Kevin Garnett, that was that athletic, that could shoot, that was the best defensive player in the league during his time. Dude, get out of here with that. Not in the same class garbage. Not in the same class. Dude, that's y'all Spurs fans drinking all that Kool-Aid. It's gone to your heads.
Wow, you just kind of wandered into this. We were going, and all of a sudden you were like ready for launch today.
God forbid I step on the sanctity of Tim Duncan's blessed basketball career.
Listen, I'm going to say this. And CB points out Duncan 33-19 versus Garnett 6-10.
Kevin Garnett played in Minnesota, CB, the Minnesota freaking Timberwolves. Kevin Garnett started his career playing with David Robinson and Sean Elliott. He had the greatest coach of all time coaching him.
Anyway, what I was going to say, that no matter how you feel about Tim Duncan versus Kevin Garnett, no matter how you feel about them, it would be incorrect for either side to say that one was vastly ahead of the other, either side, because both are Hall of Famers. Both are already in the Hall of Fame. Kevin Garnett was a 15-time All-Star. He was 9-time All-Star. He was a 2008 NBA champ with Boston. He's been an All-Star MVP, a league MVP. So I get what you're saying about Tim Duncan. And by the way, I don't necessarily disagree with the people who support Tim Duncan on the argument. I'm just saying to say one is way ahead of the other is incorrect because the numbers show that on their own. So that's all I was going to.
All right, now this is the funny one. I'd take Sean Kemp over Kevin Garnett. No way you'd take fat Sean Kemp over Kevin Garnett. Now, like prime Sean Kemp before he became a serial fornicator, then okay, we might have somewhat of a rational discussion about that. But
of course, Timmy D, 15-time All-Star in the Hall of Fame, 5-time
Jeff
NBA
is now the
champ.
Draymond Green of like the town.
There you go.
I love it.
Both were 15-time All-Stars. Both of them were. They were both were 15-time All-Stars. So that's why I said to put one way ahead of the other would be faulty, no matter how you feel on either side of that fence.
KG was also a Defensive Player of the Year in 2008, by the way.
Yeah.
Just throw that out there. 9 times All-Defensive first team.
Yeah. So, but there are those who will not listen to that. Or somebody said, well, with that ridiculous argument, I guess Michael Jordan is not great either since he had Phil Jackson.
I'm not talking about MJ. I'm talking about y'all are losing sight of the argument I'm making. It's this notion that Kevin Garnett isn't in Tim Duncan's league. That in and of itself is asinine. Garnett over Duncan is my personal opinion, but you're going to say he's not even in Tim Duncan's league?
Right.
That I can't get down with that. That is nine kinds of stupid right there.
Hey, MJ from Hearn says, Bree, Jeff, I'm with you about Duncan.
Thank you, MJ from Hearn.
Mm-hmm. And then,
sorry Walmart killed your town twice.
Hey, but he told us yesterday
it's coming back.
It's coming back again, you know. Bona fide smartass Texan said, I'm not a Spurs fan, but you're an idiot. He says,
all right,
idiot?
That's cool. That's cool. Leaps and bounds. Dude, get out of here with that.
Leaps and bounds doesn't make sense and all that other stuff. Look, just do the comparison of the numbers. They were both 15-time All-Stars. You can't say leaps and bounds over 2 Hall of Famers. You can't say that. I don't disagree with those who feel that way about Tim Duncan at all. I don't. But to say that one is leaps and bounds ahead of the other, I think is faulty logic.
It is my personal opinion. Again, before we go to the break, because we're up against it.
Yeah.
I would take prime Kevin Garnett over prime Tim Duncan. That's just my personal opinion. We can debate that. Where I got hot was leaps and bounds. Dude, if you're just saying that, either you're a Kevin Garnett hater or you're a Spurs homer, one or the other. It leaps and bounds. There's no way you can say that and to yourself feel good that you just made a logical point.
The Beaver Lance Jason said, Tim Duncan wasn't good. He was great, but I wouldn't say Garnett wasn't as good as Tim. Very similar. It's a great argument I've never considered.
Where's Bill Wennington fall in this conversation? Craig, I wouldn't put Bill Wennington with the greatest front court players ever, but you would put him with the greatest trivia teammates.
Hey,
correct?
he was on a trivia team that won a couple of round trip airfares on British Airways to Europe. That I think it'd be safe to say I quarterbacked that team. That was.
How much did Bill contribute? Because he
got one hockey question about the Boston Bruins. He did because he's from Canada. He knew he was very proud of that. He got one question, and it was something about the Boston Bruins, and he got it correct. So it was
Bill Wennington's from Canada.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't know that. So he would say y'all were standing side by each during this.
Side by each. It would say so. Yeah. So, I'm just saying. He. Bill Wennington was really good on that trivia team, at least for one question there. Bill Schoening saw him several years ago and reminded him that. He goes, yeah. He goes, that dude carried us. he goes, we got a trip to it out of it.
I love that story.
All right. When we come back, we'll set aside the Tim Duncan versus Kevin Garnett argument. We'll just set that aside. See, for those of you who, I'm not faulting you for this, but for those of you who get kind of agitated at times, who feel that there's quote unquote not enough sports talk and argument, what just happened on the show, if you went to Pluckers, and sat down there and engaged with it, that's the kind of discussion you might have there. So that's okay.
No, and one time my blood pressure's fine. Ask Craig. I'm perfectly calm right now. I'm good.
Yes.
Don't worry about me. I'm fine.
It's okay for a person to get exercise without it endangering their health. Every time one of us gets a little agitated and says something, easy, are you okay? You're not going to have a stroke. This temperature goes up. Doesn't mean it can't be regulated and come back down.
Oh, no, that's one of my favorite Kenny Powers quotes. Hey, I'm not trying to be the best at exercise.
Yeah.
That's if he ran marathons. By the way, hey, real quick before we go to break too.
Yeah.
I did have apparently I have a small amount of pull here in the building yesterday. Remember I was saying yesterday that I wasn't happy that we had like those small 8-ounce cups in the break room?
Yeah, the little styrofoam ones.
Cam informed me today. He's like, oh yeah, there's new cups in there. Somebody heard you. So I don't know if it was Christina or who it was, but thank you.
I think it was Christina. And then the
nice solo cups.
And then not only that, it's purple.
Because it's Easter themed though, because like there's purple and yellow. And
I thought it was because you're a proud Florence High School graduate.
Nah, somebody has some cups left over from like an Easter party or something. But that's cool. Hey,
you sure about that?
We got because you go back and look. There's like yellow and blue cups, but they're big cups. So
I love this. Purple Buffalo's daddy says Gerald is and always has been leaps and bounds better than Florence. Go Cougs.
If you're Gerald, then that means your life is one leap or bound away from being in the toilet.
Somebody else said, hey, Duncan and Garnett are usually listed 1 and 2 on that. Kind of hard to be leaps and bounds when you're arguing the top 2.
Thank you.
So next thing you know, Spurs fans will be trying to say David Robinson is better than Hakeem Olajuwon.
I love me some David Robinson.
Yeah, there you go with another can of worms on that. All right, up next.
Trust me, I know there's plenty of Spurs and Rockets fans that listen to this show. I'm not gonna open up that Pandora's box.
Yeah, probably don't need to do that. All right, coming up, we'll have this hour's Longhorn Notebook when we continue to Light the Tower on the Horn, 104.9, 101.9 AM 1260. We're live, local, and digital on the Horn app and at hornfm.com. Okay, for those of you who were kind of concerned about Jeff and were kind of worried about maybe he should get his blood pressure checked or something like that, he's okay. He's all right. But if you have an issue, a health issue, maybe you just need to get a physical, or maybe you're worried about your weight, you want to do that, or maybe it's a low T issue, something like that, the people who can help you with any and all of that are our friends at Total Men's Primary Care. They specialize in treating men with low testosterone. They can also help customize a program that works within the biology of your body with regard to weight gain. If you've tipped between 250 and 300 pounds on the weight scale and you want to try to get back down to that, or if you just need that physical for an upcoming job, or you just curious about something, they can handle that. And you can schedule an appointment online at totalmens.com. You'll see a yellow button. You click on that, and then you can schedule the appointment to be seen that same day in many occasions at any of their 20-plus Austin area clinics. See for yourself how Total Men's is redefining the men's health game. It is totalmens.com for Total Men's Primary Care, the doctor's office just for men. We're getting down on this argument where folks were going after Jeff about the Kevin Garnett versus Tim Duncan argument. APD number 1 says, leaps and bounds. The distance between 1 and 2 is big. Leaps and bounds. That's it. He said, Trey Elling used to make me switch the station. Now it's Jeff. Just kidding. But then he says, go home, Jeff, you're drunk. Leaps and bounds. Say it again, Craig. Leaps and bounds. The difference between 1 and 2 is big. I'm going to disagree with you there on the leaps and bounds thing. They are 2 Hall of Famers.
APD number 1, I still appreciate your contributions to
Absolutely.
the show.
That's why I said at the start of the show, we will always take the contributions. Always, no matter how that's
I've only banned one person or 2 people. 2 people from the text line. One person because they said something that went over the line, and then somebody else that just didn't know how to behave themselves.
Purple Buffalo's daddy? No.
No, I'm still amazed that he actually can, since he went to Gerald, that he can actually make a smartphone function, knows how to do that properly.
He says purple is the ugliest color, fits in with Florence. Go Cougs, he says. By the way, it is, Gerald resident Kobe Benchy, who will get the start tomorrow for Texas.
Remember, Kobe didn't go to Gerald High School. He was homeschooled. It was good. Yeah. So he didn't learn about the Gerald tradition of rolling in the hay with your sister and all the other weird rituals they do on that into 487. So,
hey,
good for him.
Someone quickly sell Jeff their Kevin Garnett rookie card.
I already have one, actually. I have one in a nice PSA 9 slab sitting on my desk at home.
Do you have a Duncan card?
No, I don't have a Tim Duncan card.
Okay. Mm-mm. Okay. Somebody else, boy, this is something that could engender some conversation. It said, Pop is the most overrated NBA coach, as without Duncan and the Admiral, the Spurs haven't won, as he says, Jack, sheet, like a sheet of paper. I don't know that I'd go that far either. I wouldn't go there. See, now, did you hear that, Spurs fans who are getting after Jeff? He's with you on Pop. He's with you on Pop. And
if I'm ranking head coaches, if I'm power ranking the greatest NBA head coaches, Pop might be number 1 on my list.
I don't know if I can go all the way there with you on that, but
I'd have to think
but he's
about
a top
it.
5.
I haven't thought about power ranking said list. So
Pop, Auerbach, Steve Kerr, Phil Jackson. That's 4. I would have to name.
I would put Phil Jackson above Steve Kerr just because of the egos Phil Jackson had to manage to make that thing function.
Oh, for sure.
Phil Jackson would probably be number 1 on my list.
That wasn't in order.
And Red Auerbach might be number 2, but Pop might be the 3.
Yeah,
there.
that's fair.
I'd have to really think about it a lot to do that, but it's probably my knee-jerk reaction.
And then Steve Nash 5?
Yeah.
Who was the Mavericks coach, Craig, that quit during the press conference when you were covering them?
Dick Motta.
Dick Motta quit?
He was their original coach when they were when they came in as an expansion team in 1980. Did a great job building them. Dick Motta won an NBA title as coach of the Bullets, the Washington Bullets, back in 78, and got them back to a final in 79.
Is that Wes Unseld?
Yes, and Elvin Hayes. Kevin Porter. I mean, he had some great players on that team. Bobby Dandridge, who had been with Milwaukee when they won a title, so he did a heck of a job. And then got them back to the finals in 79 when they lost to Seattle. But he was the Mavericks coach and got them to the Western Conference Finals in the 87. 80. Got them to the Western semifinals. I guess it was 85 when they lost to the Lakers. And then when they got beat in the second round in 86-87, no, in the first round by Seattle, and they were favored and they lost 3-1, and there was some grumbling and all that kind of stuff that was going on. And he walks in. We all thought when we went out there it was just like a season evaluation thing where he was going to talk, and he went and was at the Mavericks practice facility and had this one little podium, and he walked up with a prepared statement, and he looked at everybody and he said, "Okay, I just want to say blah 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 blah. I've tried and and he said, so at this point I'm resigning as head coach of the Dallas Mavericks," and then turned around and walked out.
No questions.
Everybody was just, because it was like the last 2 to 3 lines came like that because you didn't see it. It blindsided everybody. And then John McLeod came in. They went to the Western Finals the next year, lost to the Lakers. That was him. It was Dick Motta, the original coach.
My favorite one like that was when Charlie Strong was at Texas, and the Monday after they beat North Texas in his first game, he's running down all the good things that happened, all the goals, and right before he takes questions, it's And just a quick injury report. David Ash has a concussion. We don't know if or when David's going to play again. And Dominic Espinosa is out for the rest of the year. He's got a broken ankle and won't play anymore.
Talk about burying the
questions.
lead.
Let's go back to those last two tidbits right there. Forget everything you said for the previous 5 minutes. Let's focus on those two right there.
Before we get to the book, somebody's what about Pat Riley? He belongs on the conversation.
Yeah, Pat Riley's in there.
Absolutely.
I'm with you, Craig. I would put Phil Jackson number one. Probably Red Auerbach too, and then after that, it's whatever. You can convince me of any order. Maybe Pop 3. Pat Riley makes a really good argument for being in the top 5.
Yeah. Somebody said, speaking of great power forwards, until the drugs took Roy Tarpley, he's pretty good. He was the 6th man of the year on that 87-88 Mavericks team that went. Somebody else said, Jeff, I'm with you on the KG deal. The man was an animal, passionate, played good.
So good.
Said Duncan was amazing, but didn't play with the tenacity of KG. There's
that's like, don't even make David Robinson a comparison to Hakeem the Dream. Not even close. See, Swarm would not say it's not even close. Swarm would disagree with you.
That's where emotion really rolls into it when you say things like leaps and bounds and not even close. Emotion about how you are tied to a certain player in a franchise, and that's fan loyalty. And but there has to be some realism.
Like here's the deal. Am I going to say Emmitt Smith is the greatest Dallas Cowboy ever? No, I'm not. But am I going to say Emmitt Smith is my favorite Cowboy ever?
Different.
Absolutely. He's number one on my list.
Okay, back to no corner. Favorite best Dallas Cowboy ever was?
I mean, Roger Staubach is the only correct answer, right?
There's some who would say Bob Lilly, Mr. Cowboy.
It's one of those two. It has to be one of those two.
So that would start a whole new argument in conversation. So
I think my dad would come back from the grave and smack me in the face if I said anybody but Roger Staubach. So.
Yeah. Somebody pointed Rudy T, not only a great power forward, great coach too. Yeah, back to back.
Did you read that John Feinstein book about him?
I never did.
Man,
I really should because some of his stuff is really good. Yeah.
I need to mark that down as one I need to read.
Anyway, Chuck Daly and Don Nelson. Chuck Daly won a couple of titles, was a Hall of Famer.
Don Nelson is a great coach in my book because he believed in one Dirk Nowitzki. He was all on the Dirk Nowitzki train.
He did do that.
Yeah.
All right, it's time for our notebook.
Jeff Howe's Longhorn Notebook.
We actually got some bad breaking news. I don't need you to hit a sounder, Cam, but remember the portal rundown I did for basketball?
Sure
last
did.
Segment?
Yep.
Jaden Nunn is off the board. He committed to Baylor about 5 minutes ago.
Okay.
So
he was updated it.
What I had heard on that deal, Craig, was the Texas staff felt like it did everything it could. It just felt like the one thing they were really working against was Baylor got in on him the minute he hit the portal. And then, like I said, Texas, because of the A.J. Johnson situation unfolding the way it did, and because of the Arterio Morris situation unfolding with him hitting the portal, that was the only thing that I was told they were worried about, was they probably got into the race a little bit too late. But put their best foot forward over the weekend and, took their best shot. But I think they gave him something to think about, because I was told it was all Baylor before he took that Texas visit. So
yeah.
But at the end of the day, is what it is. Jaden Nunn's heading to Baylor, so Texas will kind of regroup, and then they've got other guards on their radar. I think this just drives home the point that the need for Tyrese Hunter to come back, and Max Abmas that's probably a must-win battle at this point. Max Abmas. Craig, again, I'll ask you the same thing I asked you about Jaden Nunn. Did you watch how much Oral Roberts hoops did you watch this year?
Saw a little bit of it. I did.
Max Abmas would fill he'd fill the Marcus Carr role for you as a guy that can have the ball in his hands in crunch time, a guy that can be your leading scorer, a guy who filled it up at Oral Roberts. So I think he's probably must. And that's definitely a Texas K-State battle at this point. So isn't it weird that I was just talking about Max Abmas from Oral Roberts and I just got a solicitation call from the state of Oklahoma? That's random.
How about that?
I don't see that 405 area code pop up on my phone too much. But no, it's unfortunate for Jeff. But again, like we said in the first hour, Caden Shedrick is on campus right now. If you get Dylan DeSue back, I love that potential combo you've got with those two up front. You get Tyrese Hunter back. If you can get Max Asmus, you throw Ron Holland into that mix with Brock Cunningham coming back. Also, don't forget Alexander Mekwe is still on this team. You can put together a rotation, a group that can allow you to compete in the Big 12 next year. So one thing you got to remember about this league, Craig, everybody is reloading in the Big 12 this year. There's not a team in the conference that's just, oh, yeah, we're just going to run it back with what we got. Everybody's dealing with portal issues. Everybody's trying to fill out rosters. Kansas included. I believe Kansas is hosting Arterio Morris starting today for a visit.
That's right.
So, that is what it is with the portal. And again, just to kind of I want to get back more into some spring football tomorrow. Just kind of some, call it spring football residuals, as you like the phrase you like to use, Craig. A little cleanup on the spring game.
The cleanup, yep.
Starting tomorrow. But just to re-rack again what we said in the first hour. Trill Carter, the Minnesota defensive lineman, commits to Texas yesterday. Texas is going to need some guys to go into the portal to make room for more portal additions. I just love the fact that, I was thinking it before Sark said it on Saturday, and I'm glad he said it because it reaffirmed in my mind what I was thinking. The depth on this team is really good, and you see that it's a lot of young depth, and it's got a chance to grow. And this team, I like the upside of this team. Where they are at that. You hope anyway that the team that you see on September 2nd against Rice is by far the team that you see at the end of the season. For Texas fans listening, hopefully in a Big 12 championship game, that team is drastically different than the one you see on September 2nd because of the growth potential that this group has. But that's what makes the portal a luxury, not a necessity. The portal was a necessity Sark's first year because you just needed bodies. You just needed bodies in there. But now it's a luxury where you can kind of pick and choose and really be picky on who you add. Like I said, maybe an extra tight end, maybe you shore up safety or offensive line or inside back or whatever positions, edge, whatever positions that you're not sure of that you might think you're one injury away from maybe being in some trouble. That's the kind of stuff you can fill in the portal now. But Trill Carter, again, I like guys with multiple years of eligibility. And with those 4 defensive tackles you've got with Tavondre Sweat, Byron Murphy, Alfred Collins, Vernon Broughton, those guys that are draft eligible. Now you bring in Trill Carter. If you have a mass exodus after this season, you've at least got a guy that's going to stick around for another year to be a veteran presence with some of those younger guys on your roster.
True.
The Aaron Bryants and the Zach Swansons and guys like that, Sadir Mitchell, etc.
All right, so there is your Longhorn Notebook. We'll be back to wrap up today's edition of Light the Tower here on the Horn, 104.9, 101.9, AM 1260. We're live, local, and digital on the Horn app and at hornfm.com.
Shouldn't have played that Chad and Zay promo before this live read. But, hey, Tim Duncan and Kevin Garnett are no longer playing in the NBA. But the NBA playoffs are rolling along. And if you've watched any of it, ask yourself if you watched it in the best way possible. And if you haven't, get your home entertainment setup upgraded right now, courtesy of Tom McKay and the folks at Audio Visual Consultations. Make that call. Call 512-255-8678. That's 255-8678. That's the number I called when I made the move to San Marcos, coming up on 2 years now. I was ready to upgrade my home entertainment setup, got in touch with Tom McKay. They came out to the house. They put together a project that not only made sense for the budget I had in mind, but it made sense for the amount of space I have in my house. So now I'm watching my NBA playoffs, my NFL when I get a chance, whatever I want to watch. I'm watching it on a 75-inch LG TV. I'm hearing everything in crystal clear sound with that Sonos sound system. Tom McKay and AV Consultations, they keep the latest smart TVs and Sonos audio in stock. They don't raise prices on a whim like everybody else does. So don't try to go to one of those big box stores and, I need to go here to get the TV, here to get the sound system, here to get the mounting hardware. They take all of that out. They take all the worry out of that for you. And if they don't have it in stock, they can order it on short notice. Tom McKay can get it done. So whatever your needs are, big or small, they can make it happen. Maybe you need a smaller setup than the one I have. No problem. They can do that. Or if you've got enough room for a full tilt home theater experience, get you a screen up to 150 inches. AV Consultations can do that for you. But whatever you want, do not delay. Make that call right now. 512-255-8678. That's 255-8678. Call right now and let Tom McKay and Audio Visual Consultations help you realize the home entertainment setup of your dreams.
Oh, we get ready to wrap it up from here. Somebody asked, why is Arterio Morris leaving? I think you put it.
I'd ask the honest question, does it matter? He's not coming back, so, you know. It didn't have anything to do with the Texas basketball program, from what I know. I'll say that much.
So there you go.
I'll come back in tomorrow wearing my Kevin Garnett jersey.
Check the stats between the two of them if you're still with APD number one's take about leaps and bounds. But we still love you, APD number one. That's why we are happy to read your text there.
I enjoy the feedback regardless.
Absolutely. Hey, somebody said Staubach. Greatest cowboy ever. And somebody else said that as well.
I mean, when
Okay.
your nickname's Captain America, you have to be number one on that list, right?
It has to be. All right. Thanks to producer Cam Parker. For my co-host Jeff Howe, I'm Craig Wade. Thanks for joining us. Coming up next, it'll be Chad and Zay. Ask Zay what he thinks about that, about leaps and bounds, about that.
Now, you want to get somebody going about hoops.
Yeah.
You can
That's
get
what I'm
Zay
saying. Ask him about it. Right before you ask him about Draymond Green, because he is after all Zaymon at our place. All right.
I like Zaymon much better than I like Draymond.
So do I. We'll visit with you tomorrow. Actually, Jeff will be. I'm moderating a panel discussion. Moderating a panel discussion with Hall of Fame coaches. Speaking of Hall of Fame, in Waco. But I'll be back on Thursday.
Get ready for 2 hours of debauchery on the air.
All right. We'll talk to you next time on Light the Tower.